Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Joffy Noodle Eggs here today with little Sullivan. Got a bit of a different one today. I'm here with Lemonlord, my lad, and we're going to have a binge watch, and we're going to watch the House films. Remember I got this box set a few months ago, and I did like an unboxing video, but I haven't got around to watching them yet. So we're going to have a binge watch. I'll just recap you over the box set. This box set contains 4 movies. It's got House, the first one. Obviously, House, the second one. House 3, the horror show. And House 4, the repossession. So we're going to watch these in one day. So what I'll do when we watch them, I will give you little reviews of each individual film and what we thought of them. So we're going to go and watch number 1 first. Right, so we've watched number 1. Obviously this is the Arrow release, as I've shown you the box, so I don't need to show you that again. There's quite a few extra features on this one, so I'll give you a little synopsis from the film. It's about this young lad here who goes back to his aunt's house. Her aunt has died. His aunt has died under sort of suspicious circumstances. She's hung herself in the house, and he goes back to he's gone back there to write his book. He's a book writer, and he wants to write a book about his sort of like a diary of his time in Vietnam. So what I got from the beginning that his young son's gone missing at the house as well. So there's quite some suspicious things going on at the house there. Um, anyway, so when the aunt dies, she tells him not to move there because it's cursed. But he still moves there anyway, and he keeps seeing visions. He keeps sort of like hallucinating from his Vietnam days, and then he starts seeing his aunt and his son, sort of like visions of them in the house, and then he starts seeing monsters in the house, um, and it's all sort of like hallucinations that he's seeing. Well, that's what you think anyway. Anyway, he he moves to the house and moves in after he's been told not to do that, and then he meets his neighbours.
Move in? Yeah, last night. Harold Gordon. Hi, Roger. Roger. Yeah. Hey, it's great to have a new neighbor. Woman lived here before you was nuts. Biggest bitch under the sun. Just a senile old hag, really. Wouldn't be surprised if someone just got fed up and off her, you know what I mean? She was my aunt. Heart of gold, though. Just a saint, really.
Yeah, so that was quite funny. I quite like that. So yeah, he meets his neighbours. His neighbour's a little bit of a nosy Parker, keeps sticking his nose in to his business, and he's sort of like because he's trying to shoot these ghosts and monsters in his house. He buys all this sort of camera equipment and all sorts of things to try and capture it. Anyway, his neighbour reports him to the police. The police turn up, can't see anything. Um, and then eventually his neighbour also sees the monster in the house. But eventually he gets around to sort of like um, defeating the spirits of the house, and he's finding his son and etc. So I won't give too much of the story away because in case you've never seen it. So what do I think of the film? I thought it was good fun. It is a little bit crazy, like it's a bit wacky. It's got that sort of 80s sort of wacky comedy feel to it, which was at the time a little bit sort of a little bit out there, you know, and it can be a little bit difficult to sort of think, well, what's going on? It does have that little bit of a feel to it because it is a little bit everywhere, the film. But once you sort of get to grips what's actually going on, and you know that there's going to be loads of sort of random sort of monster and ghost scenes, then you just enjoy them for what they are, really. And I did enjoy it, and I thought it was a really good film. So I'm putting this down as a good watch, and I'm giving it 7 out of 10. So what we're going to do now is watch House 2.
My great-great-grandfather, Jesse McLaughlin. They named me after him.
Right. So as you can see, we've watched House 2. Um, this is a completely different story. This one is called The Second Story. It's a completely different story in a different house. Basically, the synopsis of this film is that there are two, go back to sort of like the days of the cowboy days, and there were two sort of rivalries, Jesse, um, the old boy there, and his rivalry there. And they were both after this skull. He kills this guy there for the skull and takes the skull. Um, and this is the ghost of the sort of like the villain that comes back looking for the skull in the house because he knew the house belonged to Jesse. Now, jump years forward, and it's his great grandson moves into this house, and he finds out a bit of history about what's going on, and he goes to the grave where Jesse, this cowboy's buried, and he digs him up, and he comes back to life, and he's like a really sort of nice old man cowboy, um, and he tells him to look after the skull, protect the skull, and so they do their best, and the skull gets taken first of all by this like caveman from the Stone Age time, and they have to go through this jungle in the Stone Age looking for the skull. And there's all these little creatures that they sort of come across, like a bird and this sort of dog-like caterpillar, and they make friends with these sort of creatures and stuff. Anyway, so they find the skull, they bring it back to the house, bring it back to Grandpops, and sure again, Grandpops loses it again straight away. And then he loses it to like these other guys, and they have to go searching for it then. And then when they get the skull back, they're all sat there ready to have dinner, and up pops your villain, and he goes after the skull. So then it's the showdown to the end. So that's what pretty much synopsis is on that film, really. Um, what do I think of the film? Again, I thought it was really good. Really enjoyed it. Lemonlord enjoyed this one more than the second one. I think the story's a lot more easier to follow in this. Gets a bit confusing in the first one. Both of them, though, got fantastic transfers, I must say. Arrow done an amazing job transferring these. That house is made in 1985. This is made a year after in 1986. And they're both made by Sean Cunningham, who was like the producer of the Friday the 13th films. So really cool. Yeah, we both enjoyed this one. It was really funny, really cute animals, and it's got like it's a real sort of 80s adventure film with little tiny bits of horror elements in it. Not a lot, but just little bits. But it was a great film. So we're going to put it down as again a good watch and 7 out of 10. So what we're going to do next, guys, is we're going to go and watch number 3, but I'll drop you a little couple of little clips there from House 2.
As fantastic as any pyramid or castle you'll ever see. You don't know time or space or any of that hogwash. But the forces of evil are always after this skull, and you've got to help me to protect it. So don't let no one touch the dang thing, you hear?
Right, so up next we're going to go and watch House 3, the horror show, which is a bit different because it's not actually connected to the house sort of story. Well, actually, most of the house films are not connected to one another, to be honest. But this one is completely withdrawn from it. So what we're going to do, we're going to go and watch it, and I'll come back and let you know what we think of that. Right, guys, so we're back from watching House 3, the horror show. Excuse me, just having a drink. Um, Sorry about that. The synopsis of this film. Now, this is completely different to all the others. The other two previous were like comedies, horror sort of comedies, and quite sort of really wacky and that. But this one's completely different. This one's a more of a serious film. Basically, what it's about this guy here who's a serial killer, and this guy here is a cop, and he's on the hunt for this guy. So finally they catch that guy, and then he is caught, and he's going to go to death row. But it doesn't go the way that they want it to go. Um, he they tried to kill him on the electric chair, and it doesn't work. So they up the voltage, and it still doesn't work. And he escapes from the chair, and then he's on fire. And then he sort of puts a curse on the copper, saying, "You know, I'm going to come back and get you and your family." You know, so that's pretty much what he does. Um, and then he sort of like gets the ability somehow to sort of travel through electricity.
Christ's sake. That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard.
So he goes through and he sort of kills a few more people and stalks the family, and he's trying to say that it's obviously this guy that's still around somehow, and it's stalking him and his family. So it's that sort of story, and it's him to try and save his family from being killed by him. What did I think of the film? It was really good. It was really cool. It's quite a lot more gorier than the others. This is an 18. All the others are like, I think they're like 12s or something. 15s and 12s. Yeah, they're 15s. And they possess really pretty much hardly any gore. But this one has got quite a bit of gore in it. It's quite gory. But it's really, really quite funny as well. There is some funny clips in there. But it's really overacted. I mean, I remember him from Aliens as Bishop, and he really overacts in this one. And it's kind of hilarious, to be honest. The acting's the funniest bit of the film. And this here, it's like a sort of budget Triple H. He's got the most weirdest sort of laugh. It's like a he laughs like that. It's just like what's that about? You're supposed to be this sort of serial killer, and you're laughing like a leprechaun. So yeah, it's got some funny bits in there. Anyway, I enjoyed the film. The transfer is really cool. It looks really, really cool. It looks like almost like a new film. Yeah, the acting's really poor, so that's cool. Negatives about this version? Um, no, it was all right, to be honest. Um, yeah, I haven't really got many negative things to say about it. It's quite a good film, so I'm going to put this one as a good watch, and I'm going to score it 7 out of 10. So yeah, really happy with that. So yeah, that's House 3. So what we're going to do next, guys, we're going to go and watch the very last one, and that is House 4, and we'll come back with a review of that one. Okay, so we've watched House 4. Now this one was really good. I actually really enjoyed this one. It's a bit strange because it contains cast members from number one, but they're playing different roles. It's not a continuous story. Although the house I think is pretty much the same house from the first one, but it's a different story, and it's but it contains some of the actors from the first one, which was a bit strange. Uh, Now what happens in this one is this guy owns this house here. His brother wants him to sell it because he wants that land to build something on. But he's obeying his dad's or his grandfather's wishes by not selling the house. There's an old Indian in the town that says, "Well done, you've done best by your father," and he's got some sort of a sort of Indian sort of ritual thing going on underneath in the basement. So yeah, that's a bit of a strange story, and that storyline never really takes off in the film. Bit bizarre. Anyway, they decide to keep the house and they're not going to sell it. They're going away from. They've been up there visiting it. They're going back to their normal place, and then they have a car crash, and he dies. Okay, so he dies in a car crash. So the young girl and the mother go back and they decide to still live in the house because they think it has the spirit and the memories of him, and he loved it so much. Um, and then that's when things get a bit crazy. Uh, all these sort of little weird things start happening. You get the brother of him, the one who wanted him to sell the house, playing sort of tricks on the family to sort of scare them out. Um, and then you get really strange happenings like a talking pizza.
Don't forget to eat your favorite pizza oven.
A talking pizza. So, and then all these sort of strange things happen, and then one night some guys break into the house set up by the brother again to try and scare the family out, and there's a big fire in the house, and then it twists around that the other brother started it and they still want to stay in the house. So that's a sort of storyline on that. It's more of a brother trying to get a family to move out of the house. What did I think of the film? Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was quite a cool story. It was quite funny. There's some comedy moments in it and some serious moments in there. Obviously, the father dies and the young girl is wheelchair bound, but then she begins to walk again near the end of the film. And the spirit of the father is supposed to be in the film, and she keeps visualizing, seeing things that encourages her to stay in the film. I quite liked all that. I thought it was quite cool. I thought the acting weren't too bad. Out of the four, it's probably one of the better acted films, to be honest, out of all of them. The second one I think was probably the best one. But yeah, it was quite well acted and it was quite a good little story, and it had some funny parts in it. It was a good sort of popcorn movie. Quite really enjoyed it. Um, so the positives of that film is, yeah, it's a good story. It had some sort of quite good effects in it. Um, Again, it not related to any of the others. None of the house films are related to any of each other, so they're all completely separate films. So you can own House 4 or House 3, and it won't connect to the others. You got to think, oh, I need 1 and 2. No, you don't, because they're all separate stories. So that's quite a good thing. Negative about that film, I think the picture quality is probably the worst of all of them. Um, just seemed a little bit sort of grainy, like a good quality DVD, poor quality Blu-ray. For restoration, I thought that was quite poor. And the only other negative thing I thought was using a lot of the same cast from the first one, but not a connected story. So it sort of confuses you a little bit because you're still thinking of the guy in the first one who was like the author. And this one is not. It's a completely different story. The first one he had a son that was missing, didn't he? And his wife was divorcing it and all this. And in the second, this one is completely different. So that was a bit confusing. But apart from that, that was it. I'm going to put this down to a good watch and give it 7 out of 10. So that's it, guys. So we've now watched all the house films, so they can go back into the box set. So yeah, we had quite a good time. We started watching we watched 2 of them in the afternoon yesterday, and then we went and watched the last 2 in the evening last night. So it was really cool to actually sit down and watch them all in one sitting. Because we were thinking, we watched 1, 2, and 3, but will we come back to 4? Maybe not. So let's watch it now. So we watched it and we enjoyed them, and it was good fun. We had a bit of a laugh at watching some of the poor acting and that. We lost the way a little bit because some of them are a little bit long and a bit dragged out and a bit confusing because none of the stories are connected. But it is still a good fun time. So we enjoyed that. We've marked them all 7 out of 10. So I'm going to give that box set a 7 out of 10. Good films. And that's it, guys. Well, I hope you quite liked that little sort of binge watch video. If you did, let me know down below, and we'll probably do some more sort of binge watches. Maybe do the Toxic Avenger films or something, so we can look at those. But yeah, we had a good time. And go and check out some more YouTube channels if you get time. There's a Pixel channel. There's Horror Hands. There's Horror Geek. There's Horror and Todge. There's Sarah of Horror. And there's my friends Russell's RS Designs. Go and check them out, guys. Until the next video, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.